Good evening, everybody, on this beautiful Saturday evening here in North Carolina. It is Jaded. I'm Kim Ochelli. I'm here with Chuck. And the call-in number, since I always forget to give it, I will do it now, is 718-717-8296. I hope everybody had a good week. It was all right, I guess, around here. But looking at the chat room, looks like you had a pretty good show there, babe.
Yeah, well, any time I have a guest that proclaims that Israel is a major focus, they're happy. So there you go. I don't know if they appreciated the whole rest of the show, but because I wasn't watching the whole thing unfold in the chat room.
Right, right.
But there you go. And that guy grew out of the show with Rebecca Roth we did, that I did on 9/11. He actually called in at the end of the show.
Right, I remember you telling me that.
And meanwhile, he got a couple of minutes on the, on the Jones Corporation network. And actually, that video, I showed you the video of the guy,
Yeah,
remember?
I watched it.
So that was actually something that came from Jones Network, but
I know.
he got, 5 minutes or whatever to tell his story there, and I gave him 2 hours, and I wanted
That's great. Well, I think more people need to talk about it because it's not something that can go away, you know.
Well, plus it's good to talk to a guy who was actually there, and then see what it was like, from his perspective, as much as I could.
Right.
And then on top of it say, okay, so now what do you think, knowing, moving forward, what do you think? And we also discussed how he was a Vietnam vet.
No kidding.
And had learned about how he was lied to back then, and he had been like kind of a flag-waving guy back then. But,
well, I think a lot of people were because that they achieved exactly what they were looking to do. And, I'm hoping that more of us are aware that it's just, I think it was what do they call it, either a my hop or a lie hop, right? Either let it happen on purpose or made it happen. I personally think they made it happen. That's my opinion.
Certainly a false flag event, which was, meant to mislead people about whose responsibility it was, inflicting that wound upon our population, psychologically, literal inflicting of the wound on the population, via 3,000 deaths.
Right.
And of course, he being a firefighter, they have a camaraderie among them that is sort of unique in that line of work.
Well, I think every group of rescue has that type of sisterhood, brotherhood.
Yeah, but it's a little different with firefighters because, look, EMT work, I know what you're thinking of because, you were an EMT person. So the thing is, okay, you got a sort of a camaraderie there, of course, but every time you go out on that ambulance, you're not really literally looking at something where everybody's life is likely going to be at risk.
No, it's not. It's more of you just have more of a mutual respect for one another, where I can see the fireman is actually, you got their back and they have your back, which I mean we did too, but it is different.
But
I know what you're saying.
It's a matter of life and death. I mean, even when we were
you wouldn't catch
about,
my ass running into a fiery building.
Well, there you go.
Hell no.
And
unless it was you or the baby.
Well, see, but that's different because you got a personal motive. But that was part of the thing is, why do these guys try to dig each other out? Why are they caring so much about each other? Well, because in reality, that's the way it has to work. I mean, if a guy walks into a fire and he says, like we heard the tape of the guy saying on the one floor that he could control the fires, he just needs one more line.
Right.
He's not only thinking about, him being a guy who's solving the problem, but he's thinking about whoever else he's inviting into that blaze, right, and stuff like that, which is a different sort of mindset, from, like I said, you being an EMT. I mean, when he is driving, when he is working on the guy or whatever, I mean, it's a different thing. I can see how you guys protect each other and things like that.
No, I had a fireman actually up in New Jersey, is where I was the EMT, which is where we're from, but we had a multiple car accident on, well, Schmutz, you'll know, the Parkway, and it was summertime. And I don't understand how people don't see, 3 ambulances, 2 fire trucks, and 4 police cars. But this person just continued to go about 60 miles per hour past the accident scene, which is almost impossible, but somehow they were doing it. And the firemen jumped in front of me, or I would have been hit. He wasn't hit either, thank God, but he made sure that I was okay. And it was like, wow, thanks, man, because I would have been taken out but quick with that car. But I wanted to just say something real quick. I think it's nothing to do with the 9/11 thing. It's more of a personal thing. That to me, it's very touching how people we've never met before, and I'm not going to mention names, but they know who they are, that have taken such a interest and a personal caring, I guess, towards our son. As I've told these people before, that he really doesn't have an extended family. He's stuck with his crazy mother and his dad. But it means a lot to me that people are very caring towards our son. So I just wanted to say that out loud. And Hopper said he parked his little Harley in the garage, which is pretty cool. Somebody's going to have to teach him how to ride, because I only know how to ride on the back of a motorcycle. I don't know how to ride my own. Are you listening to me, or are you ignoring me?
I am listening to you.
You're ignoring me again.
Yeah, you want him to learn how to ride a motorcycle. You don't know how to ride on yours and all that kind of stuff.
I just poured my heart out, and you didn't hear me.
For Frankie, I'm listening to everything you're saying.
Anyway, I just wanted to say that because...
I just make it look like I'm not listening to what
you know what? No. Yes. Well, you're going to listen when I sing you your birthday song.
Here we go now.
So, what happened to the chat room? Because I can't see who's in there tonight. I saw Hopper's in there. And I'll say hello to Mr. and Mrs. Hopper, if she's listening. I'm not sure.
All right. I was just trying to keep my word to my guest here about something I said I would do. And
what are you doing?
I'm doing that really quick.
What are you doing?
I told him that I had not went to his Facebook page or anything like that, and that I would go there and make a friend request, and I said, I hope you accept it. So I'm trying to just finish that up while you're talking.
Oh.
It is your show.
It is my show. How do you like that? Anyway, for those of you who really give a shit, and if you don't, sorry, you'll just have to deal with it for a second. My neighbor's home, so I'm back taking care of him, and I'm glad he's healthy, somewhat healthy, but he's better now, so that makes me happy. What else is going on? Oh, do we have a Frankie moment? Oh, he's almost walking. You'll have to forgive the, proud mommy 2-minute conversation here if you're going to play his little music. I don't know. But he's almost walking.
Yeah, I will play his music. I just need a little warning, and then
There is never a warning.
No, you have to give me some warning.
I don't ever
You
warn.
have to give me some warning for his music. See, you got me turned away. I'm not even facing the microphone.
I don't have you turned away. Any hoot. But he's almost walking, so I guarantee you by the time he's 10 months old, he's going to be walking really, really good. Are you playing his music? We have to do new music. All right, our son, the rock star, who's learning how to play the guitar too. I think it's really cool. He sits there on the floor and he strums it with his little fingers. Kind of. It's cute. I like it.
He does play with the strings and he bangs on it some.
He turns it over and plays it like it's a drum. So you know that I'm going to have to buy him a drum set.
Yeah, you're going to rethink that when you get...
And Mrs. Hopper, I'm just warning you now. You're going to be hearing some drumming. I hope. Soon. We'll see. But anyway, I don't really know what else is going on. I don't know. Do you want me to sing your birthday song? I can sing your birthday song if you want.
What, it's not my birthday. No, it's not my birthday.
But today. I don't have a show on Tuesday. And
Well,
if I sing
do.
it, what am I going to come on and sing it to you? Oh, maybe I will. Who's your guest? It depends who your guest is. If it's really important, you wouldn't want me to come on and do that.
First hour is Roger Landry, and second hour I don't have anybody, so.
Oh, so maybe, well, we'll see. We'll see what kind of mood I'm in at the 11 o'clock hour.
My birthday's on Tuesday. Oh, you mean the 11 o'clock hour tonight? Yes. Oh, excuse me.
Who's in the chat room anyway?
I was trying to get that for you.
What? Oh, the chat room?
Yeah.
Well, Hopper's there, so I said hi, and Schmutzy's there. But where's, like, Road Dog? Is he gone? He's not around?
No. Hold on.
We got some Anons in there.
Yeah, I was looking to try and get a hold of who's actually on for you.
Oh yeah, you can do that. Yeah. So again, if anybody wants to call in,
there's a complete.
There's
a complete list. You want the complete list read?
No, I can read.
Okay.
Believe it or not,
all right.
I can read. What was I saying? Now I forgot. Damn it. Oh hell.
Well, I was trying to get the chat room list for you.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and I got the chat room list.
There it is. Let's see.
And I asked
Who's
you if you wanted
Dog?
me to read it, and then you said I can read, and then you lost your train of thought.
Are they new? Meat Dog?
Meat Dog's not new. No.
Oh, I don't know that person. Hello. And then Cracker, I know him. And Dalnick, in case Sandra's listening, I'll say hello to Sandra. And Hecty.
That's Hecty Lenora.
What? I don't know what that means.
That's not tech.
Oh, and there's Daniel.
That's somebody else from the house.
Hi, Daniel. Daniel, just so you know, Chuck got another cyber whore. She's looking for a relationship, a serious relationship, but which I can't figure out because she says she lives in Ghana. So how are you going to do that if you live in Ghana and you live in North Carolina?
Because you troll spam 50 annoyed, isolated white guys sitting in front of their laptops and you convince them to send you money.
It's fucking retarded.
Yes, I know.
How come I don't get any? I don't get any male whores like...
Because no woman is going to send money across the ocean. No. No woman is going to spam.
Oh, some might.
No woman is going to accept spam from... Any woman anywhere, regardless of what condition they're in, can find a man. It's just a matter of their standards. That's the only problem. So here's the thing. If all you're looking to do is, dangle it in front of somebody in order to get some cash, that's what a woman does.
Oh, that.
Okay. So
yeah.
Men can dangle it all day. They're going to be dangling it to themselves, and that's about it. Because,
You're probably right.
There's a difference between a buyer's and a seller's market, and that's the way it works. So women are more in a seller's market perpetually.
Well, all right. I personally am not.
What I'm saying is that if you go after lonely men across the planet and dangle, possibility of young woman, it's guys will end up sending you their life savings just because they think they're going to get some action.
That's disgusting.
But, a woman sitting there goes, but I'm a woman. I don't need this. Doop.
You're right, actually.
So,
never mind.
Then you answer your own question.
Any nastiness. You're right.
Okay.
You're right.
Back to the chat room list.
Yes, there's everybody. Who else is in there?
Let's see.
Jules is there. Oh, there's Road.
I am Lone Frog.
I am Lone Frog. Yeah.
Julie Stan, Road Dog.
And there's you.
Smudgy.
That's us.
Smudgy, Tip. I don't know how to say
Top
that.
Knot.
Top Knot. Okay, Top Knot. These are the names that seem to be there.
Oh, there's 19 people in there. Woo! Anywho.
There's usually a Julie Stan sitting there regardless of whether Jules is on or not, so that's the way that goes. Just like sometimes I'm on there for 20 hours because I forgot to shut a window.
Yep, and you're right. It is all in the box. I was trying to think of a polite way to say what I was thinking, and they came up with it.
Yeah, but see, when you're playing Let's Make a Deal, right?
Yeah.
Usually there's something interesting in the box that people are willing to deal for.
That all depends.
Behind the curtain, quite often, there's a donkey.
The box.
Well, yes, but every box is worth something. Okay, so
what? To like the highest bidder?
You said it. I didn't.
Happy Saturday.
We're going innuendo here. Happy Saturday.
Yeah. Well, let's see if Danny wants to call in. if he's got any more, omelet stories or, anything like that.
Well, let's remind people that, yes, 718-717-8296. And also,
Yes.
if you're on the Charles Ochelli Skype list, you can be joined right into the conversation right now live and say whatever the hell you want, because
It's my show, and this disclaimer is as follows. Chuck Ochelli is not responsible for the content of the next 2 hours. Thank you. Right?
that's fine.
Okay. Good.
Whatever you say, it's your show.
Right.
Right.
So, anyway, there's a couple things in the news that, well, North Carolina, not that it matters much because we're not going to be here that long anyway, but they were trying to get rid of the religious freedom for, not religious
The
freedom,
religious
that's something
exemption.
different. Religious exemption for the vaccinations.
Right.
But that's a dead bill, so we'll have to worry about that. Because, no.
Well, you got to watch with state legislatures. Sometimes, they'll revive something at, 2 minutes to midnight and drop it back on the floor, and you hear about it in the newspaper 2 days later. So you do have to watch that. Yeah, if you're lucky, exactly.
And I didn't get a drunk caller last week. I'm hoping I get one this week.
We didn't have a drunk caller last week?
No.
Oh, that's a rarity for you, because...
I know. I don't know where they come from.
Well,
one of them I do, but I don't know where the other one came from. He wanted to be like Spider-Man.
I don't know. Alcohol and the Jaded Show goes together.
Not lately.
I love it.
Damn it.
No, it does. It absolutely does, because, after all, we had the guy who, wanted to let Daniel Lewis Crumpton know that he was absolutely responsible for his alcoholism. That was a priceless clip right there.
That's funny.
If I was cutting a promo for this show, that would be in it.
For my show?
Yeah.
Oh. All right.
That's something else. Maybe we should give Jules, you know how it seems like in between every show, Ozzy Skateboard comes on to tell you that UCY.TV is what you're listening to. I haven't heard my own show promos played any time, but
Ozzy Skateboard?
he's another host.
Oh, hi. I don't know that person.
No, but he's the one that I always hear when I'm waiting to do my show, it seems like. And a lot of times when I'm tuned into May Brussels or something on the overnight, when I have time to listen, I always hear Ozzy Skateboard giving his station IDs. I never hear mine. I know I cut a couple of them for Jules, though.
Yes, you did. Oh, Hopper's getting a good buzz on. I'm not. Damn it.
Wish I was.
Well, we will be joining you hopefully soon. I had a second interview, so we'll see.
Yeah, well, the financial situation is not.
Well, that's
really
the
improved,
issue. That's the biggest issue.
That's what our problem is.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, if we had a little bundle of cash, we would just uproot and go.
Pack the shit up
at the top of the month, so at least we got our money's worth for the rent and all that.
Yes, I'm trying to decide if I want to sing you your birthday song, because I don't think everybody knows that you are a Marilyn Monroe fan as well. Which rightfully so, because she was a beautiful woman.
Yeah, but everybody thinks that it's all tied to the JFK.
No, it isn't. She's just beautiful. She was beautiful.
But it's just I do have an appreciation for her appearance. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I mark her as a standard of beauty. I know it's kind of cheesy and campy to say, but I mean it's just it's.
Let me ask
like,
you: do you give a fuck?
No, but it's
there you go. That's all that matters.
No, but I'm just saying, But I also think of a lot of other women as rather beautiful that are in the media and stuff like. Well, I guess you're in the media, sure. Okay, you count.
Wow.
I was talking about women in the media whose pictures are out there. Well, how many pictures of you are out there being bandied about? Not many. Not many.
Some you don't even know about.
Oh, well, that's news.
Just kidding.
No, tell me about
I'm
it.
Just kidding.
So what porno films did you do, Mama Bear? Tell me.
Well, never mind. Forget that. Next. What's with that freedom? What is your opinion? Moving along. What is that freedom, that religious, that freedom bill they're trying to fix now in, what is it, Indiana?
And just for the listener's clarification, Kimberly has not been drinking tonight.
Just iced tea.
Just saying, because you were stuttering and stammering like maybe there had been something going on, and I'm the only one who's had any whiskey today, so.
Oh, is that bottle over there? It doesn't go good with iced tea, does it?
No,
probably not.
There's only a little bit left, and that's part of my medicine cabinet.
Ew, Schmutzy likes Ann Coulter. Get out of town. You can't be serious.
See, I could see Ann Coulter in a weird way because...
I bet you she's a pig in thing.
I would just...
Bet you.
I would just want to put a hurting on her so I could see the look on her face. But
Hurting how? Like pull her hair really hard?
no.
Poke her in the eye?
It's a general thing, like knocking a woman down or whatever.
You would never. Stop it.
It's not a literal thing. I'm talking. See, this is the way I talk to guys.
Happy birthday.
Oh, here we go.
To you.
It's not my birthday yet.
I'll get there. Just not yet. It's not late enough yet.
Here we go.
Anyway, I want to talk about that religious passing thing. Because you know what? Quite frankly, I think it's bullshit. I know you and I disagree on that. Because personally...
Whoa, why do we disagree? You don't know that I disagree.
Yeah, we had this conversation, and you said that if you own your own business, you should have the right to be able to service who you want and who you don't want. Or provide services for. Not just service, because that could be taken in a totally different direction.
Yeah, servicing someone in a business sense. Yeah. Well, lots of different ways you can take that. But my point is, if you're... Well, okay. Let's break this down for people then, right? You want to read something about it first, or you want to just...
Yeah, sure, just in case. I'm pretty sure everybody knows about it, but...
All right, well, we'll pick the dumbest possible article, and let me see. Can you read from there, or do you want me to do it?
No, I can do it.
Okay.
You want me to read that one? Is that the one you picked out for me?
This is the one I picked out because it was the simplest one, and I thought the type would be bold enough.
Oh, well, basically, Indiana Governor Mike Pence on Thursday signed into law revisions in the state's divisive Religious Freedom Restoration Act aimed at removing fears that it would allow businesses to discriminate against gays and lesbians. The Indiana House voted 66-30, and the Senate voted 34-16 to okay revisions to the religious freedom law. Earlier Thursday, business, civic, and sports leaders who have strongly called for a fix to the legislation flanked Indiana Republicans as they announced sexual orientation and gender identity will be explicitly, protected in the new law. The business community and civic leaders throughout the state had overwhelmingly opposed the law, which they feared would have allowed discrimination against the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community. But several embraced the fix that legislative leaders unveiled Thursday morning. Speaking at the press conference were, who the hell is that? Allison Mellington? Oh, who headed planning for the 2012 Super Bowl in Indianapolis. Jim Morris, vice chairman of the Pacers. Former Indianapolis Mayor Bart Peterson and Chief Executive Scott McCorkle of Salesforce Marketing Cloud. Oh, but however, Angie's List rejected the compromise, becoming the first major Indiana company to do so. Our position is that this fix is insufficient, said Bill, I don't even know how to pronounce that name, Osterly, CEO of Angie's List. There was no repeal of RFRA and no end to the discrimination of homosexuals in Indiana. Well, see, here's my gig. I know that, they're big thing about gay marriage and whatnot. Personally, my own opinion, and I'm pretty sure it's not popular, I don't really care. Because if you're not, if you're doing something you're not hurting anybody, what the fuck's the difference? Do you know what I mean? That's like a business. Let's just say we were swingers, for instance. Does that mean that a bakery can choose not to sell me a cake because I'm a swinger and they're Catholic and they don't believe in that? That's just retarded.
Well, how about this though? What if a Satanist desired to go to a bakery that was run by Christians, and they wanted an image of, Jesus being sodomized placed onto a birthday cake? Would you have the right to refuse something that you consider offensive? I'm posing the question.
Well, let me tell you what. My mother made cakes. She learned how to decorate cakes. Mm-hmm. She made a pair of tits for a guy at work.
Yeah, but what would her religious offense be
to
a pair of tits?
Well,
it's against her religion because she's...
No, I'm saying could be against, some people.
Right, so...
But that's just, I don't know. To me, that's just fucking stupid.
Would it be her right
But I don't think there should be a law passed about it. I mean, but are you fucking kidding?
Okay, forget the law. Do you have a right to refuse business if you don't like the particular people that you wind up doing business
Well,
with.
yes, as a business owner, sure. I mean, running the company I did for so many years, I've turned people away just because they were rude and nasty, not because they didn't agree with my religion or whatever, or I was offended by whatever they believed in. I don't see the need for a law.
Okay, well, you're a designer. You make handwritten wedding invitations for people. You actually make each one by hand. It is your art. You are an artisan in this field. Now, you take personal offense and don't want your artistic talents being lent to, let's just say, uh, you know, homosexual marriage because you find it offensive. It particularly offends you. You should not have the right to say, I don't wish to engage in commerce with you because the you're what you're asking me to do is offensive to me personally. That's my question. I'm not asking about the law. I'm asking about, is there a moral problem with refusing money?
Well, I think if you own your own business, yes, you absolutely have the right to conduct your business how you see fit. Now, personally, if I was offensive to somebody and for whatever, because I'm a pagan, let's just say.
Okay,
And
but well, hold on. Let's stick with the
well,
artisan here. But
where I'm going.
but let's stick with the artisan here because it's a very simple example and you're detached from it. Okay? Here's the thing, right? Now, you have the right to refuse it based on the fact, yeah, I don't want to lend my artistic talents to this because I find it offensive, right?
I suppose.
Okay. So now they get to sue you. Okay.
Well, see, that's fucking retarded too.
I'm saying they get to sue you, right?
I see. Well, that's also bullshit
Because you've
then
now
the court
denied
should just
access.
Should throw that out and say go somewhere else.
Yeah, but they don't because they can't. So here's the thing: when you put in a law like this thing where they're protecting them from having problems over it, it's legal to refuse to do business with somebody, right? Where is your objection then? That's what I'm asking you.
Well, I don't think a law needs to. Well, like everything else, it's broken. And I don't think the government needs to get involved with how I run my company.
And I absolutely
and if I decide,
and I absolutely agree with Jules. Everybody's
too
damn sensitive. Get over it and stop acting like babies. She said that in the chat room, and you're right. But my point is still valid, I believe, that if it requires a law to stop frivolous lawsuits and to stop people from taking all sorts of legal action over this, it is a matter of choosing not to do business with somebody. Now, other people have tried to throw at me the idea of, and this is a counter argument to the argument I just made to you, that there is, well, what if, because you're a racist person, you don't want to deal with black people, so you can have the right to refuse to deal with black people? Well, sure, I think actually you could, and then people would have the right to not patronize your business.
You won't be in business long.
I think not, because that's ridiculous. But the thing is, I don't see where there is because you could create anything and state that it's a religion. I mean, you could turn the white power movement into a religion, technically speaking. So both points are somewhat valid here, and what really needs to happen is people need to grow the hell up, stop taking so much, offense to, you're not allowed to criticize people, you're not allowed to object to people, you're allowed to hate or love anybody you want, and if you're so devolved that you can't understand that people should be allowed to do whatever the hell it is they want, provided they're not harming anyone else. Yeah.
I mean, how far is that going to, that's the problem. How far is that going to go? You know what I mean? And that's just my opinion. People need to just stop being such pussies. That's the biggest problem. Is, oh, well, I don't, like Popper's saying, his hair was long. Personally, I happen to like men with long hair. That's my preference. I like it.
Yeah, and I used to get, profiled for having long hair because, long-haired white boy walking around in a black neighborhood, used to be a serious problem. I used to constantly have my pockets emptied and get tossed onto police cars and even temporarily cuffed in areas like Asbury Park and Newark and different spots where it just didn't look like I belonged.
I have tattoos, so right away what people think about women with tattoos. I mean,
well, anybody with tattoos, it changes the personal image. But of course,
I'm a tramp. Well, all right, fine, cool, whatever.
But anyway, I think that actually both sides of the argument have some valid points, but people do need to get the hell over themselves, first of all. Everybody in the world is not part of a protected class and all that. And it sounds kind of strange because, after all, I don't think it's right that, they should deny access to people that are disabled or whatever else. So I've got mixed feelings on the subject, and I'm just saying that it's not so clear-cut black and white about it. That this is just some sort of anti-gay law, but the fact is that, where are you going to legislate people's sensibilities? That's the biggest question, I guess.
Well, it always goes back to, somebody finds this offensive, so we need to pass a law. Bullshit. If you don't like what's on the radio, turn it off. If you don't like what's on the television, change the fucking channel.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I totally agree with you. So, like the whole battle between, like, say, Howard Stern and the FCC that ensued for many, many years, I thought was one of the most ridiculous, counterproductive, pointless wastes of money, time, and effort that I've ever seen. The government and the media both involved in stupidity for what? A word like penis.
That.
Dear God.
Just, that's my opinion, because I think I'm pretty free, open-minded, I guess. Not free-minded, open-minded with certain topics. I mean, I don't really care if a man is in love with another man and they get married. I mean, I understand it's hurting the, why we were created to procreate and all that. I understand that argument about it. But on the other side of that coin, it's none of my business. It's not hurting me or my own. It's not like they're out on a park bench,
Yeah, but see, you're speaking almost as if I'm objecting to that.
No, I'm just making my point that, in my opinion, this is how I choose to live my life and my day-to-day goings on, that I don't really care. You're not harming me in any way.
Right.
You're not hurting my children.
See, but when you begin to engage in commerce, it changes the rules a little bit because, you don't want people necessarily being able to openly discriminate against people, but at the same time, you can't compel people to do business with people that they don't want to. So it's kind of a double-edged thing.
Well, and that's right. And that's for those people who don't get their cake or their photography from this particular photography. What the hell is wrong with me? Their wedding photos from this particular photographer. Then you know what? Move on. Go somewhere else. You know what? Because why would you want to do business anyway with somebody who is that closed-minded anyway? Personally, I think you're just hurting your own business because you're losing money. I think you need to put some things you just need to put aside and just, do business.
Yeah, but I also believe that you should be allowed to cultivate your clientele however you want without government interference.
Exactly. I 100% agree with that. The government shouldn't be involved with 99.99% of the shit they're involved with now.
Yep.
I don't need to be told that I should have to wear a bicycle helmet if I want to ride my bike down the road. If I choose to crash and hit my head up against a pole and crack my skull wide open, well, that's my fucking problem. I don't need the law to tell me I gotta wear a helmet. I mean, Jesus Christ. Really? Oh, I probably shouldn't say that because it's Easter tomorrow. Oops. Sorry. We're talking about religion.
Oh, well.
Oops. Sorry if I offended anybody.
And like I said, anybody wants to join in this discussion, I'd love to hear what somebody else has to say about it, make more sense of it than I can. 718-717-8296, or if you're on my Skype list, I will gladly drop you into the call. That's Charles.Ochelli. If you're not on my Skype list, just make a contact request. I'll accept it. Might not keep you on the list, but I'll accept it to start with.
Okay. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's my opinion. Whatever. It doesn't bother me. Like, our neighbors are kind of cool, sort of.
Yeah, see, but the weird thing for me is that, like, people don't understand necessarily what it is I have to say about this, and, we've been through this argument.
What argument?
With people about the whole issue of, of sexuality and what's what regarding my viewpoint on it, right?
No, I understand your...
My viewpoint is very simple. It's that, the explosion in it is due to two factors, and one of them is the over-sexualization of our children has been done by design, and I believe it is to cause, a bit of confusion. I also believe that there has been a biological attack on the sexuality of our species, just like every other function of our species, which has caused, the chemical neutering of the males in the population. I think both of these things are unequivocally provable. There are various estrogen mimickers in the food supply and the packaging industry, and your freaking receipts that come from stores even. There's BPA in them. You know what I mean? There's plenty of stuff that causes damage to that particular part of the human species that's out there, and is part of the plan. And the reason why it's part of the plan is to control the population, to cause confusion, to make sure that there's no cohesiveness to the family unit. I do believe that that's an absolute truth. And thusly, I believe that the proliferation of homosexuality and bisexuality has been done by design.
No, and I agree.
But that doesn't mean that I particularly have a moral objection that states that they are absolutely, abominable and need to be treated differently or anything else. I still say that whether it's a choice or it's something that they were born with, or if they were chemically damaged, it's really irrelevant, so long as if they are keeping themselves happy and not harming others, I have no right to make any statement about their actions or activities.
In my own personal experience, I'll get with you 1 second, Daniel, okay? Thank you for calling. But,
Daniel's like, I'm going to step back into this again?
He's going to throw the potato on the ground and walk away and watch YouTube.
Oh,
no, I'm only kidding.
Nice.
But I found, now, I'm probably, if I have any women listening other than Jules, because I think she'll probably, well, maybe she'll agree. We'll see. I found that gay men make better girlfriends than women. I gotta be honest.
Well, that's because still at their core, regardless of whatever has gone into their psychology at this point, they're still men, which means that you now have a male of sorts that is not partially preoccupied with the concept of getting on in there. So, regardless.
Well, I never thought of it that way.
Well, that's why.
No, not for me.
Okay.
Anyway, there's another story that I want to follow up with that. Anyway, it has something to do with something else. But hi, Daniel.
I'm down here in Georgia, and I want you two to know I do not appreciate your religious and homoerotic talk on the eve of the resurrection of my personal Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Shame on you.
Please accept my apology.
I forgive you.
Thanks.
Go ahead and cite Leviticus now.
Thou shalt smite thy disobedient children with stones. And we ought to take this book literally.
Oh, absolutely, because it has nothing to do with being an allegorical statement that very closely relates to a solar deity or anything like that. No, not at all.
Nope, not the resurrection of Mithra.
What was it? I don't believe I heard that. I think that some noise just came through on the phone line there, and it was unrecognizable to me, and it has also no close similarity to anything like Horus or... Wait a minute, was that another language I missed?
What?
Never mind.
Any comparisons to the New Testament story and the resurrection of Semiramis and Tammuz are completely coincidental. Completely.
I guess that's good.
Or
Here's what you need to understand.
The story of Gilgamesh also is purely coincidental. The resurrection after 3 days.
See, here's what happened. Okay?
Yes.
The devil, Satan, the devil, went back in time because he knew about the resurrection of Jesus Christ and invented all these stories. And God let him do it to test our faith. That's right.
Yes, absolutely. And much like H.G. Wells, he was able to utilize...
What?
Sorry.
I actually did not call in to talk about the religious stuff.
Beautiful.
You didn't?
No, I have something completely different.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Please carry on.
Okay, so I gotta have to preface this story.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Alright, so shortly after my divorce, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, what do I do now? Right? So you're supposed to do a lot of stupid stuff in order to get over your divorce. So I said, I know what I'll do. What's the dumbest thing I could possibly do? I'll enroll in college.
Okay.
So I went to college for a little bit, and I had to take an English 101 course, right? And this is just the way I've always dealt with school, but I thought you guys get a kick out of this. I just found it earlier today, and I had to share it with you, coincidentally.
Okay. Cool.
So I had to write a, what do you call it, process analysis paper, right, for my English 101 class. And I would like to share that with you and your audience.
Please do.
Well, before you do that, I just want to say that I can completely identify with the concept of doing something that is completely pointless and unfulfilling just for the sake of it. Because after all, I was a legally blind guy who used to sit in the back row at strip clubs, and that was one of those things I used to do in order to conduct business. So go right ahead, sir.
Okay.
Wow.
So the name of my paper is called "How to Dispose of the Body."
Nice.
By Daniel Lewis Crumpton, IADT Online. Ready?
Ready.
Nice.
How to Dispose of the Body. The divorce is final. You've been fleeced beyond imagination, and finally you've ran out of beer money to simply escape the fact that in the blink of an eye, people you have known your whole life, people you have loved and trusted for years and years, are not as you first estimated. Oh no, in fact, when the word divorce is mentioned, you find that people can become quite nasty and malevolent, and this applies to no one more than your ex-mother-in-law. That's right. The woman that once adored you and couldn't wait for you to put a ring on her daughter's finger has now become the bane of your existence and has been very astute at coaching her wounded daughter into not only taking you to the cleaners, but having you cleaned like a fish. So after months of pondering on the subject, the opportunity finally arrives when the ex-mother-in-law makes the mistake of meeting you for a cup of coffee whilst not telling a soul she was doing so, because she has ulterior motives, as all mother-in-laws do. After she goes to the restroom, you've already spiked her cup with laudanum or the chemical of your choice. After a few sips more, the waitress at the local waffle joint simply assumes her slurred speech, and you having to carry your ex-mother-in-law to the parking lot is just another typical drunk customer winding down from the bar's closing. As you feel her pulse coming to a screeching halt, you're confronted with the fact that somehow or another you must get rid of her bloated corpse. Getting rid of a body is never an easy task, but in the case of your ex-mother-in-law, the labor will be worth it in the end. In order to pull this off successfully, you're going to need her dead bloated corpse, either a flatbed truck, if this is your transportation, make sure to also include a tarp, or an SUV with four-wheel drive, a trusted friend or crazy relative with a pig farm, a pair of pliers, a burn kit, items to start a fire with, and a bottle of Kentucky bourbon. Of course, the most important thing is to have an alibi. This can best be retrieved from other male friends who've been through a divorce as well. Prep work. Preparation for disposing of your ex-mother-in-law's body beforehand is essential in walking away from the situation squeaky clean. All of your divorced friends who will be providing you with an alibi must carefully be chosen, which simply entails little more than them having met the demonic witch before her demise. That alone should pretty much have you in the clear of any of them ratting you out in the future. After taking care of your alibi, it is absolutely essential that you let your pig farmer friend or relative know at least 1 week in advance that said pigs need to go without slop until you arrive at the predetermined time. Slop may not be too appealing, but if those hogs aren't good and hungry when you arrive, you might risk them turning their snouts up to your ex-mother-in-law, and all will have been for naught. Making the trip. The first thing you want to do after ensuring your ex-mother-in-law has gone to her eternal rest is casually get in your vehicle. You have to remember not to panic. and simply act casual as you either place her in the back of the truck or SUV. If there are people milling about, talk to her and cut a few jokes as you hoist her in about having reached her limit for the night. If your transportation is not enclosed, you will want to leave the scene as naturally as you can. Find a poorly lit area free from surveillance cameras and secure her bloated corpse with the tarp. Next, you're going to want to head to the pig farm on backcountry roads, making sure to go exactly the speed limit, as driving either too fast or too slow might raise some eyebrows from any police hiding behind bushes. The most important element in this step is to remain calm and remember that this is supposed to be fun. I would suggest listening to Bruce Springsteen's I'm on Fire repeatedly for the trip. It has a tendency to mellow out listeners in considerably stressful situations. The dirty work. After successfully transporting the body to the pig farm, have your friend or crazy relative assist you in moving it to a barn or shelter where you will have some privacy. Now it's time to take those pliers and get to work on pulling all those teeth. Hungry hogs can munch right through bone, so no need to worry there. However, the teeth they don't find too appealing, so you'll want to take care of this beforehand. You don't want any dental records coming back to bite you, pun intended, so make sure to keep those little suckers together for safe disposal later.
Go on.
Now it's time to ask your friend or crazy relative to remove any jewelry and clothing because you certainly don't want to have a scarred psyche for the rest of your life from the imagery, and then it's off to the pig pen. This might be an appropriate time for you and your accomplice to crack open that Kentucky bourbon and take a snort or two before hoisting the body to the pigs who've been salivating at the mouth since you dragged her in. Now it's time for the most exciting 8 minutes you've had in a long time as you watch those pigs disappear the body like a game of hungry hippos on steroids. Once there is no longer any trace of your ex-mother-in-law's corpse, it's time to toss all of her identification and clothes into that burn pit and light it up. Be careful to place those teeth and anything not flammable safely in your vehicle for disposal later at a local cemetery with a freshly dug grave set to be occupied the next day. Now that the body's been disposed of, it's celebration time around the fire with the remainder of your Kentucky whiskey to unwind from a hard night's work. Conclusion: congratulations, you successfully disposed of your ex-mother-in-law's dead, bloated corpse, and the world is a much happier place thanks to your careful planning and cool hand Luke swagger. Most people who do this type of thing typically get caught from lack of proper planning and careful execution, but by following these simple instructions, you will have that deep down chuckle to yourself for the rest of your life as you rest comfortably in knowing that the pigs will never squeal on you.
Beautiful.
You wanna hear the kicker?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Got an A+.
Nice.
Now, I present my usual odd retort.
Oh, jeez.
Which is this.
Okay.
If you have a secluded place for acquiring said dead, bloated corpse, and a friend or someone you have leverage on who happens to own a crematorium, many of these steps are superfluous.
Well, if you own a fishing boat, too, just, there you go.
Well, it's about the enjoyment of doing it yourself, Chuck. Getting your hands dirty.
Did I say I wouldn't be operating the crematory myself? No, I did not.
Oh, wow.
Actually, whenever I submitted that to the professor, I was like, she's still alive, dude. It's a gag. It's a gag. It's just a gag. Yeah, he gave me an A+, man.
That's
okay.
terrific.
Public disclaimer. We in no way support the act of slaughtering one's own mother-in-law, philosophically or literally. So, just for the clarification of the listener, we must state that we do not encourage you to do harm to any person in any way as a result of hearing this show. Thank you.
There's people on the internet that you can find that are more than happy to take fundage for that.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, but I saw that. I said I got to call them and I got to read that to them. I thought they get a kick out of it.
That is beautiful.
I have, listen, Daniel, if I had a job to offer on the internet and I required a comedy writer, you would be right there, brother. You would have a job right now. Because you are one of the funniest people I know.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, but I'm weeping on the inside.
Oh.
Don't give me this sad clown routine, brother. Come on.
And at some point, you have to stop taking life seriously, man. I really do.
I know. Oh, man. Wow. Well, I didn't expect that tonight.
I thought that was great.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
Even better is the cadence. I mean, the audiobook of Daniel Crumpton is going to be way better.
Yes.
If you put out a comedy book, you got to do the audio, dude. I don't even want to see the text. I want the audiobook first.
I'm actually thinking about doing an audio for the poetry books that are out eventually, but that's down the road. But yeah,
Nice.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But but I was in a certain place that night.
Apparently.
I wrote that bastard in like 15 minutes, smiling the whole time.
Beads of sweat gently dropping on the last line as he completes it.
No, but what really killed me about it was whenever he gave me an A+ on it, I was like, are you shitting me? Really? I was just messing around. I just wanted some books, man.
I think that's great. It really is.
Well done.
I'm trying to think if I did anything crazy after my divorce. I don't think so. I do something crazy every day. So it don't fucking matter.
No, I've said it several times, even though I gave up every single thing I owned and just about everything that could be, remotely connected to me on a personal level, and my kids and my money and everything else. My divorce was one of the greatest relieving moments of my life. It was as though I had been carrying around twin cinder blocks hooked to my neck with gaffs. Okay.
Wow.
And they were suddenly and benevolently lifted from the rest of the mass of my body as I walked away.
Walked or ran?
Oh, I walked away.
Oh. Okay.
I strolled away.
Strutted. My hands in my pocket and my head held high.
My hands in my empty pockets.
Right.
Yes.
That's the way it works.
Let me I'm going to just defend my own self here. Is I wasn't that way. I said, take it all. Just let me out.
Yeah.
Please.
Of course, I
want nothing.
The best short statement to describe my divorce, of course, is best 300 pounds I ever lost. Anyway.
Oh my God. Speaking of that, what's funny? I'm only 5'3".
Yeah.
And Chuck's ex-wife is what, 6'4"?
She's 6'3".
So
she's a foot taller.
Full taller than me, right? So after we had I had our son, but you know what I'm saying. She brought Chuck's other two children to the hospital to see the baby, and she gave me a hug. And Chuck says she Mickey Moused you. I fucking died. Her boobs were on top of my head. I don't know why I'm bringing that up now, but I thought it was funny.
Well, logistically speaking, a 5'3" woman hugging a 6'3" woman with a sizable chest.
So you said to
you got Mickey Mouse.
She Mickey Moused you. Sorry.
Do you guys, whenever you're around each other, do you guys go at it?
What?
Chuck and your ex-wife?
Oh.
He plays with her because she's not smart enough to know.
I say things that like a week later she's pissed at. We used to fight a lot, but now it's like the smile and
that's because she still loves you. Yes, she does. You can't say she don't. You can say it, but it's not true. She's still.
I think you can move from one relationship to the next. There's always that hint of a memory. You know what I mean? It's always there.
There is. But like when she'll turn around and tell her kids that Chuck would leave me for her in a minute, made me laugh out loud. Literally, I laughed out loud by mistake.
I'd sooner leave you for a swimming pool full of rusty bayonets while I was naked and doused in rubbing alcohol.
Ow.
But yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Dude, that's why I'm telling you. I've tried to tell people this for years, and I did like a little joke the other day and, put up on Facebook that I got married, and anybody who knows me knows bull crap. I'll never, ever, ever enter into a contract with the state ever again. It's a curse, dude. I mean, literally, if you do any kind of research on marriage licenses and birth certificates and stuff, it's a curse. It literally is a curse, and the Vatican gets a copy of that thing. It's literally a curse. So, the whole gay marriage thing, that's such a waste of time. Why are you asking the state for permission to do something that you have a God-given right to do anyway?
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I keep wondering that as well. Like that's why I say, we shouldn't have to accept civil union. Why are you asking to be part of the construct
right.
that you are by design not part of?
I mean, there's always a way around it. Okay, okay, and here's what homosexuals have said to me. Well, if I'm in the hospital, they can't come see me, or they don't get a right to this or that. Look, make them your power of attorney. There's ways around it, dude. You have a right to contract with anybody, right?
Oh, I had that. Yeah, I had that discussion one time about, listen, you can contract all this stuff together any which way you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You can, and people say, well, then they don't have the automatic right to the. Nobody does. You can set every single thing in place so that they actually have more rights than the average spouse if you want.
That's right.
And
whenever you if eventually you're going to part ways, it makes it a whole hell of a lot easier. A whole hell of a lot easier not having to get a divorce.
Well, that's the thing. You don't have to necessarily, like in the state of New Jersey, in order to have what they called a no-fault divorce, there was these sets of criteria that you had to reach. Like you have to not be living under the same roof for at least 18 months.
Yeah.
And have not in the case of you don't have an infidelity and infraction on the original contract, basically, where you're just deciding to mutually dissolve the contract. It's like, well, either this has to have happened, or somebody has to have been violent with the other one,
right.
or there has to have been, blah blah blah. And it's like all these stipulations in order to detach yourself from this other human being.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, if you were to just have a contract, you just dissolve the contract mutually.
Right.
End of story.
But people are so dependent. They're so dependent on the state and asking the state for permission for everything.
Right.
Everything. And I'm like, man, you don't have to do that, dude. Man, Congress is not even. Man, they're only supposed to meet one day a year if you really interpret the Constitution, strictly. They're not supposed to be in session all the time, because the Founding Fathers knew that the more laws they would pass, the more they'd muck everything up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just about 11 o'clock, so it's about that time where I say you're listening to Jaded on UCY.TV, and if you wish to call in and join the discussion in any way, shape, or form, or cause some sort of chaos with your phone call, that is welcome as well. 718-717-8296.
Thank you.
And, of course, you can also join via the Skype line if you're on the Charles.Ochelli Skype list. If not, simply send a contact request, and I will add you in as well. Okay, then.
Speaking
now,
and
we are speaking to. Hold on, one quick house cleaning kind of thing here, housekeeping chore.
Yeah.
We are speaking at this moment to Daniel Lewis Crumpton, who is the author of "Then Came the Flood" and also
Hearts.
You can do it.
Hearts, Halos.
Oh, jeez. Hearts and Arrows.
Hearts and Arrows and Halos and Horns.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I always mix up how that goes.
The hipster's version of poetry.
And the individual who is still looking for an omelet lesson.
That, and also contributor at zeninthecar.com.
Yes.
Major contributor over there. Interesting guy, activist, author, poet, and somebody who is in that small group of individuals on this planet that I actually call my friend. So, there we go. Now I will shut up.
I just wanted to, I don't know if anybody saw this or heard about it, but I think it's in California. There is a guy who is in prison, and a judge is allowing this prisoner to get a sex change because it supports his Eighth Amendment, because living as a male is cruel and unusual punishment. So the taxpayers are paying for this guy's sex change to a woman. Well, I shit you not.
I believe that one, and you did say it's in California, right?
I believe it is, yes.
See, when we discussed moving to California, I told you that is a section of the United States of America that really should be residing on another planet. I told you this before.
Tell me that's not fucked up. Why should a taxpayer have to pay for this person's...
Color me unmoved. I really am not shocked, surprised, Why should a taxpayer pay for it?
Well, yeah, when we have, veterans that are homeless and suffering.
Why do we fix the teeth of people on death row? I mean, this is the question.
Yeah, no doubt. Why?
And why do you even bother spending the money on the alcohol swab when you're going to inject them with, sodium cyanide?
They might get an infection.
Well, that's kind of difficult to do if you're dead.
I'm
just saying.
But I was sitting there like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
People that are in prison with, no possibility of parole for life that have, educational privileges. I mean, what? There's all kinds of counterintuitive things that go on with that whole prison industrial complex.
Yeah.
So the sex change to, whatever, it'll make him a lot more popular. Hoorah. What can I say?
Make who more popular?
The inmate. If there's a guy becoming a female.
Well, no, they'll move her over to.
You go eat all your cornbread.
I didn't say 8-inch amendment. I said 8th. Good Lord. Well, at least I know my pervy friends are with me tonight.
Your pervy friends
my
are with
pervy
me?
friends.
Okay. Hello, pervy friends.
Well, you're kind of pervy. Whatever. No, not really. Anyway, moving on. Is it 11 o'clock? Should I sing to you now?
So, hypothetically.
Yes, sir.
Sorry. I got another funny story if you want.
Oh, yes.
Oh, here we go.
They're
Since no one is calling in, we're going to let Daniel tell stories until one of us pees. Or one of you calls in, whichever comes first. So, there you go.
You guys are familiar with, this is hypothetical, because the case is still pending.
Oh, crap. So, we're identifying things as hypothetical because of a possible pending legal action. Okay.
Sweet.
Yes. Not saying this happened, saying it would have been funny if it did happen.
This could have been amusing if these particular circumstances actually did come together, and they are not meant to actually bear a resemblance to any real person or event. They are purely a work of fiction.
I'm a writer.
Although, if they do bear any similarity, it may be coincidental.
The names are changed to protect the innocent, and I am a writer, so I get paid to make shit up for a living.
Nice.
Right, and the innocent, the guilty, and the stupid are all worthy of protection. Okay.
So there was this guy, right? This guy I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
The guy, we all know that guy, but the guy, yeah.
Yeah, and anyway, he got arrested a few months ago for being at a public park with his dog. Okay.
Yeah.
And spent 3 days in the slammer, in isolation, whilst having his dog threatened to be taken to a pound. This guy and his dog were both going to go to jail.
Oh, my.
Because of whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's still impending. So hypothetically, this guy, about a week ago, was at the same park.
Returning to the scene of the crime.
Returning to the scene of the crime.
Holy shit.
But the difference is he did not have his dog. He had a very lovely young woman and 2 beautiful little girls with him.
Okay.
Totally different.
Yes,
and they're hypothetically building sandcastles in the dirt pile.
Okay.
And it's about 8:45.
Uh-oh.
Oh. And the clock keeps ticking. So after 9, which is the curfew for this horrible offense, this guy said, "Oh shit, I'm violating city coordinates. This is messed up.
Yeah.
I better call the cops." So he pulls his phone out while he's building sandcastles with 2 adorable little cherubs and calls 911 on himself.
And to be fair, those are allegedly sandcastles. But okay.
Right.
Alleged sandcastles.
Just to clarify.
Okay. With a moat.
Awesome. With a moat. Oh, no. Okay.
So when the police arrive, they find this guy who's videotaping his adorable 2 little cherubs in the sand as the police approach. This is a teachable moment on how to know your rights. Hey, kids. Hey. Of course, 2 little beautiful cherubs look up at the big policemen. Hey, how's it going? We're building sandcastles. with this guy. So I'm like filming, or this guy is like filming. We're sorry. We could see that you guys are having a lot of fun out here, with some family time and building sandcastles. We did get a complaint though. You did? What do you know? Who's going to call the cops on some people out in the public park after curfews just having some fun with sandcastles? Who's going to do that?
I don't know.
Yeah. So, like, girls, it looks like the big policemen want us to leave because we're violating city ordinance by building sandcastles. So this guy's like, officer, do you need to see any ID? Not that he had any on him anyway. Nope. So I'm not under arrest? Nope, you're free to go.
Wow.
Thank you, officer. And thank you, video camera. Hypothetically.
Because after all, only a phone camera device type substance could capture such a hallmark Al-Qaeda type moment where you're violating such a vital ordinance.
Well, did you see
with alleged sandcastles?
Speaking of the cell phone videos, how about that guy driving the Uber car and that the agent of the counterterrorism agent dude, because he called him a fucking idiot? Or no,
he's a New York
this
City
is a different
cop,
one.
I think, isn't he?
But he was part of the counterterrorism bullshit.
They're all part of some homeland security.
But
thing,
the guy beeped at him because he didn't use his directional or some shit like that, right? So the cop pulls him over.
Yeah.
Did you see that video? Yeah. And he's screaming at him and like kind of making fun of him because he's not from this country, so some of what he says is a little off, in his enunciation of the words. What the really?
I'm going to making dinner.
What a fucking blowhard! You got to be kidding me.
It's getting stupid. I mean, it's stupid out. It's already ridiculous.
On my Facebook page,
dumb and getting
somebody
dumber.
Posted a video of a motorcycle dude who is in an argument with a police officer because two of them in the police cars. One of them was going with lights and sirens, and they're going like 80 miles an hour, and the other one wasn't. And the cop, the two guys on the motorcycle didn't know another car was coming, and they went to pull out and almost got hit. So the guy on the motorcycle called the cop a fucking idiot. So the other cop stops, I'm not sure how exactly it evolved, but they're actually arguing that the cop wants the guy on the motorcycle to apologize to the other police officer for calling him a fucking idiot. Again, I shit you not.
I told this story on another show the other day just to show the mentality that they have. I had to go down to the. By the way, about the other story, it'd be funny if that were actually true. Hint, hint, Wendy.
Yes.
And that video had to come up in court.
Because that could potentially.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So I forget when it was. It was a while back. I had to go up to the courthouse and play their stupid game and get paperwork or give paperwork or whatever it was. And, I bust up in there and wearing what I always wear, and I got my shades on, right? Mm-hmm. And like the clerk or not the clerk, but the bailiff or the whatever, the cop that worked there comes, in his best Terminator walk to the desk, right? Dun, 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 dun. Which that tells me that reminds me of another story I'll get to. But so I go up to the front desk. I'm like, yeah, I'm here to get turn this in, whatever. So he makes a hand gesture towards his eyes, like silently, like take your shades off, and I'm just staring at him because what.
Right.
We're not in court, dude. You didn't stop me. I'm in here to turn in some paperwork. I'm wearing shades. What's the big deal? But it's like this. He expected just because he made the hand gesture for me to take the shades off. They don't see themselves as servants anymore. They don't.
No, they don't.
Compliance is not negotiable.
Now, what if you were blind?
Yeah.
First of all, you wouldn't have seen the hand gesture, and secondly, you need them.
Well, but it's
not
just
the point, but
it's an authority thing. It's a power trip. You will obey.
Right.
Resistance is futile. But I'm like, dude.
I remember one time I was 18 I was 18, and I was babysitting the two little girls that lived above me in the apartment I was in, and my brother is 5 years younger than me, so that would put him at 13. Him and his little buddy were busting windows in the apartment complex. All right, they were wrong, yes. I'm not excusing their behavior. But somebody called the police and they knocked on the door. And this officer, while I'm standing there with two little girls, starts cursing at me. Now, I mean, I'm not a prissy where I can't handle the word, fucking truants and, juvenile delinquent. I can handle a bad word. But my argument was, I'm standing there with a little 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, and there's no reason for you to behave this way. So I called the chief of police, who I happen to know in that town, and complained. My father had a fit. He was screaming at me that I just caused a whole bunch of trouble. I need to learn when to keep my mouth shut. And they're, police officers, and they enforce the law. And I'm like, fuck that. The cop came the next day and apologized. Not that that was what I wanted, but it was like, who the fuck are you to stand here and curse at me? Like, first of all, I didn't do anything wrong. And secondly, there's two little girls here, dude.
Yeah.
Get off of your high fucking horse and just tell me where to go get my brother.
Yeah.
What the hell? I have no use for police officers. I'll take care of myself with my knife. Thank you.
It reminds me of that Pink Floyd lyric about, teachers going home and getting beaten by their wives.
Mm-hmm.
I bet, most of these cops go home and they got their tail tucked between their legs, I'm speaking in general, and everybody knows I don't, like last time I went to jail, they were like, they already knew who I was, without me showing any ID or anything, because they actually, whenever everything is said and done, I'm going to scan all of my police reports and arrest records and then upload it to the website so people can see this. But they actually have in my police jacket as a warning to any officers who come in contact with me that he's a constitutionalist and he's with ZenInTheCar.com. Like, that's in my report, in my jacket. And
wow.
I wrote the chief. I was like, yeah, I wrote him a very lengthy letter. I knew I wasn't going to get a dignified response, and I didn't, but it was the point. But I was like, dude, why are you putting alerts in my police jacket that I'm a constitutionalist and that I'm with ZenInTheCar.com? Why is that a threat to your officers?
Exactly.
And that puts me in a higher degree of danger in the event that I'm encountered by a cop, because they're not going to know what the hell, well, now they do, because the chief of police here made all of the officers here watch and read all of our stuff after we protested the Bearcat. But I'm like, they're going to see that. If I do identify in the future, they're going to pull it up, they're going to see these warnings, not know what the hell it means, and I might get shot, Since when is it a caution to express your First Amendment?
Well,
it's just getting worse and worse and worse. It really is.
When the founding fathers, became named terrorists, when it was suddenly at some point in time deemed that, compliance is the only form of patriotism which is acceptable, what do you expect? I mean, I'm very sure that if ever it is connected to a police file on me, I'm very sure that it'll be mentioned that, I have very negative things to say about the government. I told the story on here about the FBI.
Right. What's the file on you?
Going to, I was going to get married for the second time, and they pulled her aside. This wasn't Kim, but they pulled her aside to explain to her that I was somebody who was, against the government, a conspiracy theorist, and a problem. And all that had been known, I hadn't had a radio show or spoken about, all they could have known is stuff that they would have followed up on with me, researching the Kennedy assassination. Oh, and one other terrible thing I did at the age of 12, mind you, was write a letter to President Reagan. Stating that, I did not understand why nuclear weapons still needed to be manufactured and that I thought they were entirely too dangerous. And I was a petulant 12-year-old, and that was somehow attached to my permanent record that's in the hands of the FBI. So, hooray for me.
Yep, I know the feeling, man. Whenever, I think I've talked to you about it before, Whenever, and our man, we have the worst governor. Governor Nathan Deal. I don't even want to call him governor, but Nathan Deal is such a douchebag.
Oh,
I
Governor
mean,
Deal, Governor
Governor
Deal.
Deal, real deal. Yeah, it's a real deal, all right. You better have some Vaseline for this deal.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah.
You better have some Vaseline and some muscle relaxers.
Governor, Governor,
Okay.
Oh
Governor
wow.
Governor Nathan Dildo. Um,
Dildo, nice.
you gonna feel this, man. Yeah, he just signed in HB 310. I don't know if you guys were paying attention to that. My friend Catherine Bernard, Derek Grayson, and a few other activists here in Georgia were fighting this tooth and nail. But HB 310 is this new piece of legislation where, surprise, surprise, the state wants to set up another government agency as if we don't have enough already. But it's like I haven't read all of it because I've been so busy, doing shows and promoting the book. But from what I read of it, essentially what it does is it creates this new council of people who are not elected. Of course, they're appointed, and they are to oversee people who are on parole, on probation, or pretrial release. And basically, it's a way of trying to trump somebody's right to a jury trial. And it passed. And what was bad about it was all the activists that I know around here, they went up there to the state capitol and they, talked before the legislature and gave them all the statistics about babies getting blown up in cribs and no knock warrants and, all the police brutality. And the guy who was sponsoring it, I think his douche name was Powell, I don't know. But he got up there in front of the legislature and called my friend Catherine Bernard an indigent lawyer that doesn't. Clearly, she's an indigent lawyer that doesn't care for the legislature or law enforcement at all. So just dismiss her. But yeah, so it passed, unfortunately.
What,
And Nate,
what
go ahead.
exactly is the meaning of an indigent lawyer? Because that term confuses me a bit.
He obviously meant it as a slur. I mean, it was obviously meant as a slur.
No, I get the spirit of it, but the particular phrase seems odd, doesn't it?
Well, from his point of view, this is the way that the rest of his speech kind of went. Because she's a defense attorney, okay, she's a bleeding heart. She's a bleeding heart liberal.
Oh, so she's a lawyer for indigent people.
Not really. I mean, she will.
But that's the idea, right? I mean,
that's not the way he meant it. No.
Oh, okay. I know. I'm confused. I'm sorry, Daniel. I mean, I understood the English language, but sometimes people use it in such a way that makes me question that.
Yeah, like irregardless.
Yeah. It was a Trojan horse snipe, is what it was. That's what it was. It was nasty. And Governor Deal, he's such a douchebag. Of course, now they're trying to get him to repeal it, which good luck. And then he signed in, after they did a flip flop. And you guys know I'm not for legalization of cannabis because that's stupid. You don't want to legalize it. It's already lawful for you to have it under your First Amendment. There's a video up on Zen in the Car about that. That'll teach you like in 6 minutes how to get around it. But yeah. So he did a back and forth with medical marijuana, and finally he signed something in where medical cannabinoid oil can be used for 8 illnesses. I don't know what they are because it's irrelevant to me. But he's such a douchebag. This son of a bitch, man. Whenever years and years ago, when Zen in the Car first came up, we were in our first year. I'm a baby baby activist, I guess you could say. Like I just started getting in there, and the Real ID Act came here, and it's it was creating it. It does create a national database. All right, you go to get your driver's license renewed. They do a retina scan. They do a biometric scan. It's got your social, it's got all your information, and it goes to a database that's controlled and monitored by the Department of Homeland Security. And, when I read this thing before it went into action, it's like, this is Nazi Germany shit. This is, papers, please,
Right.
So I wrote Governor Deal a letter, and it was polite. It was an open letter. I sent it to him, through the mail, but I also posted a copy up on the website. And basically what I said was, look, I understand that you signed the Real ID Act, and, because of this point, this point, this point, and this point, it's against my First Amendment to get one. I feel compelled that the government is now stepping into a role of like God. Like you don't need to know all this about me. You don't need to monitor me everywhere I go. So I'm going to go ahead and stand on my First Amendment, which is I have the right to free expression of worship. right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to get the license. However, I still am going to engage in my right to travel, on the roads, because that's my right. So my question to you, Governor Deal, if you're, have no intention of repealing this horrible legislation, my question to you is, are you going to make sure that all the peace officers and the judges throughout the counties and municipalities here are aware that I can exercise those rights with impunity so that my rights don't get trampled on? That was the question, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I sent him the letter and put the letter up on Zen in the Car, and I think we even started like a petition to have it repealed. And whenever you deal with these people, you're not going to get layman's terms back. Not that I can't understand more than layman's terms, but they're always going to spit legalese at you. Mm-hmm. So he sent me, and it even had misspelled words in it. Okay, he sent me this letter basically that says, "Thank you for your concern. I have referred your query to the chairwoman of the Department of Driver Services." And I'm like, "What? You're the governor, dude. You're the governor. The buck stops with you." And the DDS, the Department of Driver Services, is a for-profit corporation anyway. It's for profit. It's a corporation. Mm-hmm. So what are you doing forcing people to do commerce with them anyway? So, that was the response that I expected. The response I didn't expect, because I'm an American citizen. I'm an American.
Right.
I'm just exercising my rights. I'm petitioning the government for a redress of grievances. We're checking out the back end of zeninthecar.com, and we find that the Department of Homeland Security was going through every single thing we had ever put out, and then going to any affiliates' websites that had links on it. Now,
wow.
I don't have 100% proof that it was Nathan Deal that reported me to the Department of Homeland Security, but I put my money on it, know.
Right.
Mm.
And holy shit. Huh. Mm-mm. Well, I read something, too, now that I think it was Barack Obama, signed something where, like what Chuck does, not so much me, because my show is more just, laid back and whatnot, but anybody that does, like you, Chuck, anybody else on UCY, or any Alex Jones, all those people are going to be considered terrorists.
Yeah.
Because of it's being done on the internet.
Hey, give me just a second. I'm going to top some coffee up and wet my whistle. I'll tell you another frightening story. Hang on.
Okay.
Well, I found it funny years ago. I told you that, or maybe I didn't tell you about this.
What?
All right. You know that crappy website I built years and years ago? Well, there was this thing that you could put on it at the time, this little bit of code that you could include, so that you could actually trace. It's the old version of what people use nowadays to keep count of where people are coming from.
Oh yeah.
This thing also used to tell me what their entry point was into the internet, and this thing actually would provide me with IP numbers and everything.
Oh wow.
Right. Well, I remember making, and it didn't really click with me at the time, but I made a lot of silly statements on that website, a lot of jokes. Put up some poetry, a few other things. And, I mean, at some point I probably, did some of that JFK stuff. Well, what was funny on there was that after a while I noticed in the other category, like, away from, those who were using, like, I knew who their service providers were, too. So it was like, AOL, and at that time, way back then, Net Zero, and all these different, CompuServe, for God's sake. Okay. So all that stuff. But then way down at the bottom comes ARPANET.
No.
ARPANET. Which means that there were, like, people that were using the military version of the internet that needed to be on my site. And
unreal.
Every time it seemed as though if I put up a particular phrases and things would show up on there, it would increase the ARPANET stuff.
Yeah.
Like the ARPANET traffic would all of a sudden go up. Like instead of like 10 people over the course of a week, it would be like, 400 hits from the ARPANET instead of
Holy shit.
10.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny part was that when I would see the ARPANET number increase, it wasn't raising the typical page counters.
Oh, wow.
So, not that I can prove anything about that,
Right.
but I always found that weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I knew what the ARPANET was, so I was like, that's hysterical. So that means that with that old sort of coding that somebody really gave to me, you know, like I said, I was learning how to build websites, right?
Yeah.
With this old sort of code, you could see their IP address and everything. So, you know, and that's with crap that somebody gave me that I dropped into a website, which, you know, is badly built and everything else. So if that type of technology was in the hands of people in the 90s, then you got to assume that, you know, really anybody, if they figure it out, could trace every single thing they want to of yours.
Well, that's why the Hillary Clinton thing, like you were telling me earlier, is a bunch of bullshit.
Well, I said that's a complete non-issue. I mean, you know, look, well, she destroyed things, she hid things, so go to the NSA and get it. They got it all.
Right.
You know, what's the difference?
Right.
You really want to know? Go get it there. Like,
what's
that
crazy
whole
about
thing
it?
with the IRS. Remember the IRS? We lost a hard drive or whatever the hell, so we don't have the emails. My ass. Go to the NSA. They got copies. You know what?
And what's crazy about it? Like, getting back to whenever you finally, you know, like whenever that happened, I knew and believed that the government was monitoring people and, you know, political activists and stuff. But it was when I first saw the Department of Homeland Security on the back end reading everything, I was like, holy shit, this just got real. Like, I'm on their radar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, I find it funny that here recently, I don't know if it was a true story or not, but Edward Snowden supposedly came out and said that they just fired HARP back up after a couple years of being on hiatus. And anybody who researches HARP knows what they use that crap for. But yeah, once I got reported, that's when you get the cars parked outside. They really do that. You know, you got SUVs parked outside of your house all day long. If you walk outside, they pull off. You get clicks on the phone. Me and my ex-wife would be watching like an episode of Breaking Bad at like 11:30, you know, on the internet. And then I'd get a phone call at 11:30 at night from a quote-unquote telemarketer trying to pitch me something, and then they would throw in this little line like, yeah, it's almost like that episode of Breaking Bad, and then like quote from that episode, you know, and I'm like, ha ha ha. But, you know, thankfully I'm an articulate guy, and I could talk about stuff like this because it makes other people panic. And then they start going, they're following me, the Department of Homeland, oh my God, and they come off like they're a little schizophrenic or something. But the government really, I mean, they really do that shit. I mean, they followed me around, took pictures of me. I actually had Freemasons. They use the Freemasons. I've had Freemasons come up to me and threaten me to shut up. You know, I've had them follow me around. Of course, first they do the carrot thing. You want to come join? You know, and then when you say, you know, I actually had to tell them one time. They said, "Are you going to stop this? Are you going to step off this path?" I said, "You're going to have to put a gun to my head and empty the clip." That's what I said to them. But yeah, they do it. I mean, they do it to activists all the time. And with the smart grid, you know, we'll get a little metaphysical and quantum physics here, but we've talked about the chakra system before. And anybody who doesn't like the word chakra, okay, ganglion nerves. Go look at an anatomy book. You have them.
Yes.
It's electrical grids within the spinal column that goes up to your brain. So you can call them chakras or whatever. But you have them. And with HARP and with the smart grid, you know, you guys know about the smart grid, right?
Well, you know what's funny to me is I was just thinking this before you said it and while you were talking, is that, you know, in the age of, and I borrow this phrase from the Cisco commercials, of course, but in the age where the Internet of Everything is a reality, you know, people think that we're talking in fantasies when we say that, you know, your power lines can be utilized to transmit signals.
That's right.
You know, your appliances can be interconnected and create, you know, real-time images, you know, behind closed doors without a problem. All these things can happen, and it's like, oh, this guy's crazy. He thinks his toaster's talking to him. No, my toaster's probably talking to the refrigerator. But but it could be made to talk to me probably, and they're probably working on making sure that everything in the house can talk to me, and control and monitor everything. But you know what the really weird thing is that makes people really take a step back is even if they remotely believe that any of what I'm saying is true or possible, is that I don't care.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to at this point, is that it doesn't matter.
Either you're on the level or you're not. Now this is a cool experiment that people can do themselves to know that we're not bullshitting. And I love doing this for kids because I always tell them I'm a Jedi Knight, But always, you guys have seen pictures of me. I always have, jewelry hanging from me, typically metal of some kind.
Right.
Well, if you study the chakras and chi and prana and all that, you know that you can, they spin certain ways. And if your chakras you can open your chakras or close your chakras, and each chakra, it affects a part of your consciousness. We actually get the term asshole from the chakra system because people who have their energy in base chakra are materialistic assholes. That's where we get the term.
Yeah.
That's really where it comes from.
Right.
But you can measure a person's chakras, and what I usually do is you get the person to lay flat and breathe, take a few deep breaths, and you kind of have to ground yourself a little bit away from them because you don't want your field interfering with their field. You could do this, right now, or when you get off the radio, and I'll take my necklace off, and I'll hold it straight over each chakra, okay, and I'll put it down to about 2 or 3 inches above where the chakra is. So if I'm measuring the heart chakra, basically I'll just lower it right above the heart. And without moving my hand or anything, it's not a trick, it's not sleight of hand or anything, the electrical signal that's coming from your heart chakra will attach to whatever it is that you're holding, the pendulum or whatever, and in just a few seconds, you'll start to see it spin all on its own.
Right.
And it'll, and the healthier the chakra, the wider the swath. It'll go in about 6-inch diameter, and it'll go either clockwise or counterclockwise, and that's how you tell if a chakra is open or closed, or what you need to do with it. But you could do that, and it looks like telekinesis. I mean, in a way, I guess you could, if you didn't understand that it's all electricity from the human body, it looks like magic.
Right.
But you could do that experiment yourself. Okay, so once you do that and you see it for yourself, that okay, there is a field, whether you want to call it the aura or whatever, that extends beyond the body. All right, and it's hooked to these ganglion nerves, which ultimately goes up to your brain. How hard do you think it would be for DARPA or the NSA to hack into the smart grid, hack into your electronic signals in your body, and give you thoughts that are not your own? I mean, or make you see things that are not there, to discredit you or to get you to kill yourself. You know, and it's not science fiction. It's just science. That's what it is. It's science.
Yeah. That being said, what I used to use was a fully metallic dagger, which was perfectly balanced, which I could hang from a singular strand on a hook on the ceiling, and you could place one of these areas under it.
Yeah, you did that to me.
And I've shown you that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I showed you. And then I showed you how you can actually extend it, and I showed you how I could do it with my hand if need be. I didn't touch it.
Right.
It would just start to spin
Mm-hmm.
because I was in control of how much I was putting out. But what's weird about that, of course, is that, a lot of people think, and let's qualify this really quickly, though. There are also people that just are disturbed who believe that things are being beamed at them. But that is something that does happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I do say all the time that I'd like to apologize to those guys who used to say, that the CIA was trying to beam things into their brain, because they probably were. It's been a reality for a long time.
But what they're afraid of, I was listening to your last guest, the firefighter, and you know me, man. I'm of a different opinion. I think we're on the verge of America imploding. That's just not my outlook. That's not the reality that I'm going to be a part of. I think that people are waking up. I see it every day. More and more people are, getting a hold of me, and people like me, wanting answers. Right. It's hard now to find anybody who doesn't believe that 9/11 is an inside job. everybody kind of, you don't even have to explain it to most people anymore. Yep, that shit was fake. I mean, but what the system is really, really afraid of is, like the internet. Okay, well, you created the internet to track, trace, and databases, but the human will of the people for freedom took the internet and turned your little plan on its head, and now we use it to expose. So you guys created a system to enslave, but human nature, everybody wants deep down to be free, even if it's faint, a faint flicker. Mm-hmm. And so now the internet's ours. Now they can track us and trace us, sure, but I'm sorry, with the people that come on your show and the stuff that I write about and all these connections are being made, there's no way they can stop it now. It's ours. It's ours. But what they're afraid of with HARP and this type of technology is, okay, well, here's where they're scared. If it's possible, and I believe it is possible, I think it's just science, just have a scientific mind about it, for them to send thoughts into your head or suggestions into your head through electricity, then there's no luck that you can't pick. What they're afraid of is us hacking that system, a collective consciousness. Mm-hmm. And see, to an extent, I kind of believe that, I've been saying this for years, the internet's self-aware, guys. I'm sorry, but the internet is self-aware. It's like a baby. Very, very few people remember their infant years, but after the accumulation of so much knowledge, at a certain threshold, consciousness kicks in. And we have been inputting information into the internet for a while, and it was only a matter of time. And I personally believe that it's self-aware, that it's awake, and it's our collective consciousness. And if you get a chance, watch that movie Lucy with my baby, Scarlett Johansson. I so swear. Man, I'm telling you, dude, one day, Scarlett. But anyway, what? I don't care, dude.
If she knocks on the door, you're leaving, right?
Yeah. Well, no, actually, if she knocks on the door, I'm going to turn my webcam on and blast that shit to my ex-mama-in-law.
See, all you got to do is superimpose, and this is going to sound really weird coming from me, because generally speaking, I am part of the, I am an affirmed member of the cult of the pale female. But the fact is that, if Lucy Liu were to do the same to me, I might have to be turning on my webcam as well.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Skype this. But anyway, back to the serious stuff. If you watch that movie, and there's a lot of stuff in that movie, and you guys know that I use a lot of movie analogies, because that stuff is in there, man. It's trying to tell people stuff. If you just take the time to realize that it's not just entertainment.
Oh, and if I'm in a bad mood, Uma Thurman will do. Just putting it out there. Moving on.
Yeah. Chris Cornell for me.
I know.
Okay.
Sorry, Daniel.
It's cool. It's cool.
I felt it necessary with just the... never mind.
Even the cartoons, though, that you forced me to watch, that now some of them I like, they have the same type of, little zingers in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's multiple levels of things going on there that are interesting. Mm-hmm. If you notice. And it's all about, it's still that flicker, like he was talking about, that occasionally comes out of the creative among us.
Well, speaking of signals, you know what's messed up?
What's that?
Is every single time the Sudden Link, that's our cable provider, comes on, it doesn't matter if Francis is throwing a full-blown 9-month-old tart fit, he will stop and zone in, and he will not pay any attention to anything else.
That's right.
Other than that commercial.
That's right. But yeah,
there's a tone lock there.
But it's alarming to me. It's like, damn.
But that's the thing, is you and I are so numb to stuff like that at this point, that, because realize, it's not because of a language, it's not because he has a preference in a tone, it's not because there is literally something in that signal
that's grabbing him,
which creates a compulsion.
Right.
And that's the thing. There are tons of signals like that.
Now, if you rent that movie Lucy, okay, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it
No.
basically it deals with the concept of what happens when a person accesses more than 10% of their brain.
Oh, that's what happens when she reaches 100%. We have no
Right.
idea.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
That's
Well,
Hmm.
there's this one scene that I thought was brilliantly illustrated, and if you're into this type of research and you watch that movie as more than entertainment, you'll learn a lot. But there's this one scene where I think she's at 60 or 70% brain capacity, and she's looking for this terrorist or whatever he was, and she is in a police car in the passenger seat, and she can see lines like green lines going all over the place. I mean, she sees them everywhere, and it's everybody who's on a cell phone, and all these lines go straight up to like satellites, and she sees them moving as people move, right? And
Hmm.
she can see. I mean, because it's on a frequency. I mean, where's the radio? It's all around you. It's in you. Where are television signals? They are in you. They're all around you. Where is the internet? It's all around you on different frequencies that you can't see with your visible eyes.
and
You have to have.
those that naysay this and say, well, look, that's old technology, radio and television. Let us not forget that a few years ago, everything was turned over to this new format.
Mhm.
So everything is now quote unquote digital.
Mhm.
But that allows for more information to be compressed into the same type of signal. That's all it is.
Mhm.
And this is the reality of things. So now your television, you needed to get the converter boxes a few years ago, you know what I'm
Right.
talking about?
Hmm.
Radio signals are now, broadcast dually, in a dual fashion in the old way and also through a digital signal now.
That's right.
So, guess what? They upgraded this already.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
right.
So I'm sorry, but go ahead.
But in that scene, it was a perfect illustration of how we're all connected, right? And if you stop and think, I have a smartphone. Most people have a smartphone, and you have all these apps. And anybody who's ever seen Minority Report, whenever Tom Cruise is walking through the lobby of an airport or whatever, advertisements pop up specifically geared towards him,
Right.
right? And you only see the advertisements. And if people haven't been noticing this, like when you get on Facebook, you'll see advertisements, and you go, "Oh my God, I was just looking into that." Well,
Right.
it's because it's predictive programming. It's tracing that's what you're looking for. So hypothetically, let's say, you know, you wanted to, I don't know, assassinate somebody. You're an evil government person. All you have to do is hack into somebody's smartphone, and like if they have a horoscope app or a fortune cookie app or whatever, and send them an advertisement right then or there to trigger, what they call psychic driving. They tell you that you can't hypnotize somebody to do something they otherwise wouldn't. That's bullshit.
Yes, it is.
Yes, you can. You
Hmm.
most certainly can. I've seen it done. And all you have to do is create an altered personality. You split the personality, and if one personality doesn't want to do it, they go into an alter. But
Now, why is it though that some people are more?
Developed by Hugh and Cameron at McGill University in Canada, actually under the MK Ultra program, psychic driving.
What does that have to do with what I was just saying?
I was just talking about the technique that he was talking about.
yeah,
Anyway, why are some people more easily hypnotized than others?
calcification of the pineal gland is one.
Hmm.
Uh, 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 an imbalance of equilibrium between left and right. You know, I've been practicing self hypnosis for years, and I do hypnosis for other people, but I don't. You know, I'm very ethical about. You don't want to get in somebody's mind and do nefarious things because, again, I believe in karma. So I know how it works, but um, I haven't really met too awful many people that I couldn't hypnotize.
Hmm.
Not too many people. Everybody goes into hypnosis twice a day anyway, naturally. A daydream is hypnosis. So, when I started practicing self-hypnosis, it was to implant, positive subliminal messages to myself. And it works, man. It works. And, if I come across anybody who has, drug addictions or trauma where they've been abused in the past or things like that, I can get in there and do stuff, but I'm always very ethical about it, you know. But yeah, people are under mass hypnosis for the most part. mass hypnosis, and they use the harp, and they use the internet, and they use all the waves. But yeah, if you ever get a chance, pick up that movie Lucy.
Okay.
And there's a reason that it's called Lucy. You know, it's all interconnected. Of course, the last end scene is perfect. I ain't gonna ruin it, but whoever wrote the movie, they knew what they were talking about. And actually, Morgan Freeman's in that movie, and he ripped off my slogan, man.
Oh.
Evolution is revolution. He totally says it in the beginning of the movie. I said, God, I knew I should have patented that shit.
Oh, so you're actually responsible for my favorite phrase on your website over there.
Yeah, I came up with that.
It's a thing of beauty, and it's got so many different layers of meaning to it. It's a wonderful little onion in 3 words.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was cool to hear. It was cool to hear Morgan Freeman say it, even though I didn't get credit. But evolution is revolution.
You know,
Oh, wow. It's already 10 to 12.
Yeah.
Wowee.
Well, time flies when you're
It
talking to D.L. Crumpton.
does. Yes,
All right.
indeed. I didn't realize that. Holy moly. Sorry, Daniel.
I just called in to talk about my ex-mother-in-law, for God's sake.
I know.
Honestly, though, that was written and that was a comedic piece. No ill will. Just a disclaimer.
There's lots of those on this show.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Look, rather tame by Jaded standards, too. So
It was.
very tame show. We have 10 minutes to blow
I'm
shit
gonna
up.
sing to you before we leave.
Oh, don't do that.
Yeah. 'Cause it's Chuck's birthday on Tuesday, April 7th.
Happy birthday!
Thank you.
Yes.
One of the historical dates cited for the possible date of Christ's crucifixion was April 7th, by the way.
Was it?
Yes.
What happened on July 22nd other than me being born? Do you know? I don't.
Off the top of my head, I do not know, but if I hear a keyboard correctly, Daniel might know in a minute.
Is he Googling or Yahooing?
I was looking at porn.
Awesome.
Oh, okay. Now, look, you got to be more specific than that. What kind of porn?
Yes.
Oh, he's like, Chuck, you always have to ask that one question.
Photoshop Scarlett Johansson heads. Just joking.
No, you're not. But it's
I
all
bet
right.
you we can find that in his search history somewhere.
I bet you.
I clear that shit every day.
But once you type it, my friend, it is never destroyed.
I've actually never looked that up. Sorry, never.
Never looked what up?
Then I'm disappointed.
Scarlett Johansson. You're right. That is a disappointment. What the hell's wrong with that?
Yes, I said the 7th, April 7th. You'll be what?
Yes,
40,
on Tuesday night when I do my broadcast, I will be 43 years old, thusly entering my 7th cycle of 7.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Scholars estimate of Jesus' crucifixion by Roman troops in Jerusalem. Attila Hun's plundered Metz. First draft of Corpus Julius Civilis is issued in Eastern Rome. Pope Gelasius II is excommunicated. Prague, the first university in Central Europe. Wait, do you want to stop?
What's that, the 7th?
That's the 7th of April, yeah.
Wow.
A lot of Roman history on the 7th
Apparently.
of April as well, yeah.
That's right.
Also, makes me an Aries.
I know.
Fire in the head.
I'm a Cancer.
Got it.
So's Francis.
Yes, he is.
Now, we Virgos feel sorry for the rest of you. We actually run everything.
Hopper's birthday is the same day as Mike's husband. How do you like that? It was apples.
I don't know. I always cracked up because my 2 kids.
I know. Well, that's why we were trying to have Francis on July 4th.
I would have loved to have had him on July 4th.
But
that would have been hysterical.
He wouldn't have survived.
And you know why?
Because he almost died.
That's true. But you know why it would have been hysterical if Francis would have been born on July 4th, Daniel?
Why is that?
Because my first child was born on Flag Day. My second child was born on Veterans Day. And if my third child was born on Independence Day,
that just would have been weird.
Too creepy.
Yeah.
And I would have loved it. Ironically, sir.
There's a lot of stuff with that, with numerology and the zodiac and events and man, that's why the Illuminati, the Bavarian Illuminati. There's 2 different groups, but that's why they do all their important, stupid, false flag shit on Key's astrological dates. Anyway.
Here, you want me to mess with your head? What time
Yeah.
of day? What time of day would you think I was born?
4:15 p.m.
No.
Okay.
1:30 a.m.
1:30 a.m.
I was born in the afternoon. Francis was born at 10:18 p.m.
Yeah, he was.
Yes. But what's weird is I thought he was born at 11:18 because after I woke up from being put under for the C-section that they had to do really fast,
Mm-hmm.
that was what time it was when they woke me up, 11:20 or something like that.
Well, I don't like to praise the hospital, but you both got out alive, so good enough.
When my mom was pregnant with my brother, my dad was racing her to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
He got pulled over by the cops.
Oh boy.
You know how fast you were going? My dad said, you know how to deliver a fucking baby?
No doubt.
That's beautiful.
Wow. Oh my God.
My dad he's hilarious.
That's a good one.
I every time you tell a story about your dad, I smile on your behalf.
Thank you.
Really do.
Yes, I do too.
Because no matter what you want to say about it, I will use this phrase anyway. Is you were truly blessed to have the father that you had.
Not really. Well, I am, because I don't believe he... Dude, we still talk every day. We still talk every day. He answers me. It took me a couple years to learn how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But we still talk every day. So I don't say I miss him, And every now and then, like for example, what we were talking about with the smart grid. I'll put one of the things how I communicate with him is because you don't have to be spiritual. Albert Einstein even said energy cannot be created or destroyed. There has to be some type of an afterlife. So whatever. But like it's so miraculous when I first learned how to do it, which is first you have to get to the point where you believe that you can communicate with the other side. You can't do that with organized religion's dogma. But
Right.
I'll get on the path that I walk for meditation. I'll put on Pandora and I'll talk to my dad, and just as soon as I get done talking or asking him a question or whatever, a song like a Johnny Cash song will come on, or a song I've never heard will come on, and I'm telling you, I know for a fact that he is communicating with me and giving me the answers that I asked for,
I wish you could show me how to do that, because although I could probably sooner communicate with your dad than my dad. I have never been able to solve that puzzle, and I've solved it for others, but not for myself.
That's where reincarnation kicks in. Typically, the way it was explained to me, because after I opened up my third eye, dude, all these people who are naysayers to the spiritual realm, you just have no clue what's
You're
around
missing
you.
out.
You have no clue. The world that we live in is not like you were told at all. We are so surrounded by spiritual entities, and it's if I wish that everybody could see it. I really, really do.
Mm-hmm.
But the way it was explained to me whenever I first opened up my third eye, or my pineal gland, whatever you want to call it, and you get access to the site, was that one of my spiritual guides said some go up and some go down. It also has to do if they didn't escape what the Hindus call samsara, and they didn't the sins of the father haven't been eradicated, then contact is going to be very difficult, because think of it as elevation. If they incarnated this time and they were a shitty dad, and then they shuffled off this mortal coil, they don't get to carry on the consciousness in linearity. So they'll have jumbled memories when they're reborn as whatever, and really, really bad people come back as beasts, as animals,
Mm-hmm.
So if they're in that place until they get clear. Now, I have had an experience which was wicked, where, somebody who did some horrible, horrible, horrible traumatic things to me when I was a child, who for years in my youth, when this happened, it really blew me away. I would pray for them to die and go to hell.
Mm-hmm.
And shortly after I did that, they were murdered. All right, that's happened 2 or 3 times with me.
Didn't you tell us about the house fire? Was that you?
I don't think so.
Who was telling us about remember. Well, I'll talk to you about that later. Anyway,
because we're almost out of time.
Yeah,
so
we're almost out of time. But I was
finish.
asked to tell you that you sound like Dave Ramsey.
Dave Ramsey.
I don't know who it is.
Neither do I.
Yeah.
Is that
What?
is that good?
I don't know. I don't know who it is.
I have to Google that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was sitting in this very metaphysical place where I go, or one of my spirit guides was, and this older man all of a sudden started talking to me, and I could see there was a change in his eyes, and the person who'd done some horrible things to me as a kid channeled that man and started speaking through his body and said stuff to me that only me and the other person would have ever have known.
Oh, God.
And it was so surreal. And he asked me for forgiveness so he could get out of hell.
No shit.
Okay? And I forgave him. And then after that, you can make contact. But typically what I do is I'll think of the person, and I'll either go to the bookshelf and flip to a book, and the first thing I pop to is them talking back, or I'll turn the radio on, or I'll flip the TV on, or check out a web page, and it's just there's no such thing as coincidence. The answer is right there, every time.
Right.
Never fails.
I often wonder who Francis is. I sometimes think he's your father.
You think?
I think he's Chuck's father.
Chuck's fan?
Yeah, sometimes.
He's named after him, but I don't get that sense.
I don't know. We have about like a minute and a half, Daniel. So I have to sing to Chuck for his birthday in the breathy Marilyn Monroe.
I'll go ahead and
he loves her.
I'll go ahead and hop off. I got some Scarlett Johansson pics to look up.
Oh, well, Google Dave Ramsey and then Skype me and tell me if that's good or bad.
All right, will do. Talk to you guys later.
I'll see you later.
Bye.
Thanks for calling. So, anyway, because, you're a JFK guy, right?
Right.
And you do like Marilyn Monroe, which, rightfully so, I'll give you that one. Some of the other ones, I don't know about.
And you're going to run out of time.
So I'm going to say, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. Ochelli. Happy birthday to you. There you go. Happy birthday, baby. Yay me.
Yay me, she says. That should be your tagline at the end of every show. Yay me.
No,
of course,
my
birthday is April 7th.
Once in a while. But, yes, happy birthday, baby.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're still younger than me, though, damn it.
Yes, I am.
I'm going to stop the clock because I don't want to get any older. Maybe I could turn into a vampire. That would be cool. Sort of.
As long as you don't turn into a pumpkin.
No, I don't want to be a pumpkin.
No.
Anyway, since the bumper's going to be coming on, I hope everybody has a wonderful upcoming week. And if you celebrate Easter, I hope it's Blessed Easter. And you have a nice day with your family.
This week I'm going to do another
there.
mid-show.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll mix up.
Have fun. Be yourself.